Nope. She knows it. It's only equipment. Hey, not enough energy. Air, so she needs to always be like kept in a lot of obedience, which is why you see me taking a step and stopping, taking a step and stopping. She's quite willful. In the herd, she's the alpha mare, she's the boss. So something people don't like to deal with their horses, but you have to become the leader. You have to provide leadership, because if you don't, the horse says, gosh, this person's an idiot, and I'm just going to have to take over in order to survive. So they have to know that you are the leader, and it has to be benevolent. But benevolence isn't like, oh, nice horsey, I never want to hurt you. And they hate that. They're very Nietzschean. They kind of like Nietzsche's will to power, and they want you to be very powered up, but very fair. Let's see, because they won't respect you at all. In fact, they'll be afraid of you if you're too passive. And if you're too aggressive, they will fight back. So you have to find this really heavy middle ground. And they know where it is. I mean, they know it. This bag is what we call in horse terms a flag. I make different sounds with it. She's trained to the sounds. She's an unusual horse because in horse terms we say she's a little sucked back. In Hinduism they say she's a little tamasic. She doesn't like to exhibit her full power unless it's her idea. But the idea of me becoming the leader is I ask her for power, you know. She has to give me the power, and I ask for it. And that's not enough power. She's capable of a much more beautiful child. So I'm going to push her a little and ask her to express her beauty. Come on now, move. My world, I understand different people have different goals, but in my world, it's give the horse a lot of freedom. It doesn't mean freedom to do nothing. It means freedom to really learn how to move, express, yogis. They're just like us. They're yogis, and one side of their body is always tighter than the other. And it's not always the same side. You see, today it's the left. It's the left. This right side's a little more opened up. Go both ways. And in my world, you wait for the horse to seek you, to take direction from you. Respect you, not be afraid of you. That's more beautiful. And that's more balanced. And that's actually more what she's capable of. That's her range of motion in her joints. It's like us, When we're stuck, it's not so good. That's enough for you right now, and then you can go eat. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, this is part of the whole American conundrum. People buy horses because they're beautiful and want to own a horse. And then they don't give them any exercise at all. And then they can't figure out why their horses are just like their children, sick and miserable. And this is a very, very difficult horse. She wouldn't be for just anybody, but she and I worked it out.
How long have you had the horse?
I've had her, I got her when she was 9, and she had never been started. She'd never really been touched by humans. She was really very mean. She was dangerous. I mean, she was really dangerous. And she was feral. And so she's 16 now. So how long's that?
7 years.
7 years, yeah. I do everything with her. I ride her, and I do this kind of work, and work at what we call work in hand. And, I do all kinds of things with her, and she's very good. She wasn't always that way. No, you were crazy. Right. She was frightened, she was frightened.
That's a big horse.
Yeah, she was big, and I think the only handling she had was probably pretty coarse and rough because she's pushy. She's really strong-minded and she's pushy, and I think she pushed and people pushed back harder, and it went back and forth, and when I got her, she would bare her teeth and go after you, turn her butt to you and kick like a kitten. She was really, really difficult. She's really very sensitive, if we think of ourselves as orchids and dandelions. She's an orchid, and she's very, very sensitive, and take a sensitive being, person or horse, and then you treat it badly, they get mean. That's what happens. So our prison system is full of people like that, and I think she would have gone to the killer if I hadn't taken her. I think they would have. I know, that wasn't, you understood that. She's very psychic.
She goes, what?
Yeah, I know, but they didn't.
You're talking about me in the third person, and I'm right here.
Yeah, but they didn't take me, It's like I came in. And she is a Lipizzan, and I'll tell you the story of the Lipizzans when you want me to, but it's quite a story. And they say in Europe, don't give a Lipizzan horse, don't put a Lipizzan horse into the hands of any amateur, because they're just Very, very
If you stand that close, I can hear you.
Okay, well, you know what happened with the Lipizzans. These are the royal horses of the Habsburg family. These are aristocratic horses, and I'll turn her around, you can see her brand, actually. And her lineage is the Royal Habsburg, and what happened is, in World War II, the Nazis, when they went through Europe, wreaked havoc on everything, including killing all the Lipizzans. And that was a way of getting at, you know, different dynasties and lineages from dynasties. So the Lipizzans were effectively annihilated. So it was believed that every last Lipizzan was dead. Well, when General Patton went in with the Allies, he went into a place to liberate some people who were in hiding, and he found in there some monks. In their barn, these monks had 17 Lipizzan horses that they had hidden from the Nazis and kept alive. They were in terrible shape, but there they were, 17 Lipizzans. So he called back to the U.S. government and said, oh my God, there are some of those Habsburg horses still alive. Can we rescue them? He was given permission to rescue the horses. He did rescue the horses, 17 horses, and that was all there were in the world. In about 1945, 46, that's all there were of the Lipizzans. There's still very, very few of them. And so different countries came in to help reseed the horses. 3 countries came in principally. That's why there's 3 different families of Lipizzans now. There's the very small Lipizzans, the Fabrianos, that were the Middle Eastern countries said you can use our Arabian stallions to help bring back the bloodline, because they couldn't breed these 17 to each other. They were so closely related. And the Polish gave some blood, and the Spanish gave some blood of the very beautiful Andalusian. That's her line, the Conversanos. She's a Conversano Lipizzan. So she comes from the reseeding by the Spanish. And they put them in this place in what's now Slovenia, was then Yugoslavia, called the Pibar Stud. And in the U.S., to make a long story short, a farm in Chicago called Temple Farms brought a whole lot of them here to start rebreeding and bring them back into, out of extinction, into reproduction. And she has the Temple Farm brand here on her. She's a Temple Farm Lipizzan. You can see it right here. There's the Temple Farm brand. And
let me get close on that.
Yeah. She was born at the Temple Farm in Chicago, and I know the bugs. I'll put some bug stuff on here. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
There we go. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna put some bug goop on her. And from there, branched out into the rest of America, but there's still very, very few of them. There's maybe, I'd have to check the registry. I don't really keep up with that kind of thing, but somebody probably knows. There's probably 2,000 of them maybe in the world, and that's about it. I'll put some bug stuff on here, Lippy. So they're very rare.
So you studied for a long time to learn how to handle horses like this.
I went to Germany. Yeah, I was finished my undergraduate schooling, and I was about ready to go to graduate school, and I had a summer before graduate school, and this was back in the day, no internet, no this, no that, and I asked my father was a horse lover as well as a musician, Dad, can I go to, somebody had said to me, well, you know, there's an old man in Germany, and he's getting very old, and you better go there and study with him before he kicks the bucket. And he was probably younger than I am now, you know, but we were kids, so we thought he was old. And they said his name is Egon von Neindorf, and I went there. I had ridden dressage, but only in the American tradition, only in the way we ride it here in this country. And this man was a pure classicist. He kept the principles of dressage from the 19th century, masterful man. He's now gone, but he has been celebrated by all of the horse world as one of the most influential masters in the world of all time. And I got there And my mind was blown. I was shredded. And I remember making a transatlantic call, which back in those days was a big deal. And I called my father and I said, well, this man is either a genius or he's stark raving crazy. And I don't know which it is, but I like what I see. And what I saw was horses doing all these beautiful movements like you saw me doing with her, moving sideways and all these beautiful dressage movements with absolutely no force. And every respect for him. These horses had every respect for him. They never pushed on him. They never tried to kick him, bite him. Every respect for him. But he was their leader. But they were not afraid of him. Just like you saw me, he could take his whip. And after working with the horse, he could run his whip all over the body of the horse. And the horse never flinched, was not afraid, had no fear, and yet did all the lovely movements, both in hand, at liberty. What we call at liberty is what I'm working today. No tack, nothing on. You're just working with your body language and your thoughts. And the horse is basically reading your mind. And he developed these really close interspecial relationships with horses. And well, he became a legend. The man became a legend. So I called my father back in August and I said, look, my summer's over. Can I defer graduate school and start in January? I was like amazed. This guy blew my mind. So I stayed, and you know, the rest was history. I did come back and go to graduate school, but I went back to Egon von Neuendorf's every summer of my life. And Karlsruhe, Germany, and I went there till the day he died. Actually, I went there in April of the year he died, that May. Just amazing. I try to teach other people what I learned there, but many Americans aren't so open to it. Because the American way of horsemanship is force. It's force. It's force, it's confinement. And Neuendorf had magnificent animals with magnificent obedience and no sense of fear. It wasn't obedience out of subjugation, it was obedience out of partnership. And you see it in this horse. He had a big, rather mean, Lipizzan mare he called Ra'enu. So sometimes I call this horse Ra'enu.
So what was the trick to mastering the horse?
You have to learn the technique. You have to learn the technique. And the technique goes back to ancient times. The dressage technique goes back, it's like learning Baroque music. It goes back to ancient times, and it's very slow, it's very tedious, there's a lot to it. And most people in America, they say, oh, just teach me how to make it look fancy. I don't want to learn all that technique. You have to learn about the horse's balance, where it puts its weight, why it puts its weight where it is, the symmetry of the body, where the stiff muscle is, where the stiff muscle isn't. It's just incredible. The amount of anatomical understanding you have to develop in your feel for the horse and in your eye, and then in your ability to communicate it. And then also in the mind, you have to put your mind right with the horse while you work with the horse. The mind can't be anywhere else. And that's why the other day you said, are you going to work with the horse? I said, no, my mind is too busy today. You know, your mind has to be focused and relaxed because it has to be right with the horse. But if it's not right with the horse will know that it's objectified, and it will perhaps work for you. It may work for you if it's a good-natured horse, but it will be ugly. Be very ugly. It will look like a child that's sour of school, you know, sick of school. And it won't be tall and proud. You really see that in this horse. This horse is tall and proud. So it's a long technique. I asked him, I was, I guess 22 when I went there, and I said, Herr Neuendorf, this is overwhelming. How long will it take me to learn this technique? He was at that time considered the best teacher in the world. And he said, and he became even more acclaimed after that. He said, well, I'll tell you this. He said, it took me 10 years to learn to get the position, to hold my body in, the body language, to work with the horse. I said, 10 years. I was 22, so it seemed like the end of the world to me, you know. Then he said, it took me the next 10 years to give the position to the horse. You see, when she travels in a very beautiful position. He said to give the position to the horse. She doesn't travel upside down, what we call upside down, with the hollow back. She travels very round lines, very beautiful. He says it took another 10 years to give the position to the horse. I was like, oh, 42, wow, this seems very grim. And he says, then it took me another 10 years to be able to explain to a student what I was doing. I thought, wow, so by the time I'm 52, I should be quite good with horses. And it actually was that way. I remember one day when I was about 55, and I was working with a very difficult horse, and it was very easy. And I thought, I've got it. I finally got it. 30 years later, I finally got it. So yeah, there's a lot to it. Ruth, who's here visiting, has been a student of mine for about 10 or 15 years. And she knows a lot of it. She's quite good to watch work with a horse. Yeah, she knows a lot of it. One of the things that concerns us all in the horse community is that this information is dying out, because as the world is becoming more and more materialistic and more consumer driven, people don't want to learn this. This is relationship. And people don't want to learn this relationship work. They just want to throw a saddle on their horse when they want to and ride their horse. And I get that. I ride my horse a lot. I enjoy riding my horse. But I don't think I should ride my horse all the time. I think there are days we should work on other things. And we should be building other languages. Because that's what I learned from Air 9 years. If I can do this from the ground, to have this kind of obedience, we have this kind of partnership from the ground. When I'm up on the horse, it's nothing. She already knows who I am. She already trusts me. It's nothing. I put bug bites stuff on you. Yes, I did. So she's from a special breed. And then she's a special case because nobody started her. Started handling her. So she was frightened and mean. And now she's